Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are on this amazing planet. Welcome to Katana Malinowski, the People's Champ, podcast for the masses. I am Katana Malinowski, your host. Welcome. This evening, I decided I would like to talk a little bit about what may have drawn a lot of people to support the mega movement. Even though there are a lot of things that people who didn't vote for Trump share with those people, what I have observed is that the level of fear and pack mentality together created a perfect storm. People are tired of the status quo of Washington, D.C. We get two parties, the Democrats and the Republicans, and all they do is fight. Do they really get anything done? Not a lot. Do they help the people? Not much. This is about making sure that the stock market functions, which is limited to a certain group of people in our society. I mean, anybody can play in it. In reality, though, it's not for your average citizen. Most people don't understand it. Most people don't exercise their money through the stock market. There are IRAs, there are 401ks, and there are deliberate investments, but it's not the highest percentage. Most people do not have that and cannot make that choice. They're too busy paying for children, they're paying for rent, they're paying for their cars, they're paying for medicine, they're paying for food, they're paying for everything they need. Power. Oh my gosh. So, in the spirit of what this podcast has always been intended to be about, which is to amplify the voice of the people, one of the things that I've been observing, listening to, talking with people about is homelessness, food insecurity. These were very real things before Trump got elected and have been very real issues for quite some time. I know it's been an issue my whole life. I'm now 58. So this is not a tricky thing. This is not something that happened overnight. Trump didn't get elected because of something that happened one night, one day, one week, one month. This took decades to build. And what my observance has led me to believe by what I see, what I hear, and what people tell me is there's a disconnect between people receiving services that average citizens who were born here are denied on a regular basis. These are people like myself. I have no home. If it wasn't for the graciousness of family, I wouldn't have a roof over my head. I receive food stamps. I get food assistance. I have Medi-Cal, Medicaid, whatever name you need to give it, because I don't have any other means to have medical coverage. And the medical issues that I have, many of them built into bigger issues because I have struggled my whole life to have medical insurance. I was born with little to no immune system. I have a man-made immune system. That was a walking pre-existing condition. So, of course, I was always cut off anywhere where an insurance company wanted to deny anything based on a pre-existing condition. And then I died. You want the ultimate pre-existing condition? That was definitely another one. Oh, you died and came back. Well, we can't give you life insurance. We can't give you medical insurance. What is wrong with you? So I was very happy, even though it wasn't the perfect answer or solution at the, you know, which I have come to understand doesn't exist. There's no perfect. Everything is perfectly imperfect. Things are always able to be adjusted, to grow, to change. And I think that's really a good, healthy perspective to look at what we've got with this temporary situation we call Trump and Musk. Yes, these are people that are doing things that threaten everybody's existence, threaten our relationships on this continent, around the world, and people are scared. People see what they believe is somebody getting something for nothing. Undocumented people aren't just Hispanic, by the way. There's a lot of different people that are in the undocumented category. I'm really overhearing people blame our southern neighbor for every one of our ills and problems. We've done a good job of doing that ourselves through our complacency. Oh, I elected them. They'll take care of it. That's not how a democratic process works. We all have to do our part. We all have to be informed. We all need to be aware. We need to have conversations with each other. Hey, how's it going with you? You know, this, and this. You know, what's going on for you? Well, this, and that. Hmm. Wonder what we could do to do something differently. How can we build? How can we make this a better place for everybody? Unfortunately, people see other people receiving. So that led me to look into it further. I decided to look into food assistance, for example. And what I saw was that undocumented people still had to meet certain requirements. So there are requirements that are put in place that they have to fulfill in order to receive the things that they receive. It isn't just a straightforward handout. So there are things that they have to do to receive food assistance. There are things that they have to do to receive medical. Again, they have to meet the requirements. I don't know what all the requirements are because every area has a different process and different set of guidelines. So from state to state, you get different requirements. That's a big part of the problem. The 14th Amendment says that we're supposed to get, equal representation in all of the states. Well, if you take a look at our country, we are far from being any of that. There's a lot more to the 14th Amendment than just what they've been arguing about. When citizens, and this is no disrespect to undocumented workers, I know that there's things that they do that a lot of people won't do. And they're doing it for a price that most Americans will not settle for, can't settle for. We don't have that kind of a system. We don't have that kind of a structure. The cost of living and the wages are so far apart. One can't even see the other. What we need is for that adjustment to meet and match the cost of living. We need opportunity and access to opportunity for everyone. And then there's also the home issues. I found myself getting caught up in this one or earlier last year when I heard that, undocumented people were going to get housing. I can't get housing. I, I have no work. There's a lot of different things that go on there. Not only can I not work because I am disabled, I am legally disabled. I don't receive payments, but it's due to a whole situation with fraud that was committed against me by my Social Security representative. I have all the proof for that. I had the Inspector General for Social Security in Maryland tell me, yes, this person committed fraud against you, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing I can do about it because they can only be punished through they're protected by the Federal Employees Protection Act. That builds anger, builds distrust, and it creates insecurity. So when we see people receiving something we ourselves cannot get by no fault of our own, when the deck is stacked against you, what do? You take it out on the people that somebody skillfully, diligently portrays as the villain. Unfortunately, it started with just the southern border, which is not an old battle. It's been a battle since the day that border was created. Borders create arguments. And this, I will liken to when you see a dog fighting at the fence, but then you open the gate and they're like, hey, I'm good. Human beings are very much the same way. And it's just sad. It's really sad to watch human beings turn on each other when it's the system, it's the people that Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Donald Trump, wealthiest piece of people in the country. Musk, wealthiest man in potentially in the world, buying people's elections. People will probably come at me for that one, but this is an example of where oligarch, money and politics has got to go. Money is bad. I bet most people don't even realize your taxes go to primary elections. And many of us are not allowed to participate as we are because of the way that the two parties structure the rules, which is not the control over the rules is not granted to just two parties. That's got to be made clear. However, they've done a good job at setting up the rules so that they can control the whole thing. And that gives them a way to control the people. Either you're for them or you're for them. Take your pick. What line are you going to stand with? Seems pretty confrontational to me. It didn't take me long. In my early 20s, I became an independent, and I've been an independent since. I was a Democrat first. I even was a libertarian, and I took a step back and went, you are all crazy. This is nuts. We are all voters. And as citizens of this country, we have a right to vote. That's our process. It's about us. So this is really about getting our voices out there, and I am doing that. I have started writing in favor of the people. to our political leaders. I currently live in Northern California. So I'm starting here, and I will be reaching out to people all over the world. I am sending out the SOS. We need help because a lot of our political leaders are not standing with the oath of office they took to defend our nation from all threats, foreign and domestic. Let me say that again. All threats, foreign and domestic. And what we have now is the greatest domestic threat we have ever seen. It's time to call these people out. That oath of office means they can go to jail, they can get a fine, they can be removed from office. We need to hold these people accountable. We need to tell them we are watching you. And you know what? We, the people, we stand with each other. We stand for love. We stand for caring. We, most people want to live life, enjoy life, live and enjoy people. The differences are much smaller than the similarities. But I understand being afraid of not having your needs met. And when it looks like they're giving those services away to people and ignoring you, the citizen, it's a tough pill to swallow. And I can understand why people backed somebody who said, you know what, we're going to put an end to that, even if they were lying to them, because ultimately they were feeling that fear that led them to go, you know what, even if they don't know that that's what's driving them. I invite people to go to every um, thought leader out there and to psychologists and say, what is the number one emotion that drives people? Most people live in fear. The United States has been sold fear from day one. Keep the people in control by selling them fear. And I'm probably going to get a lot of pushback on this too, but organized religion, I'm not talking about being spiritual because I am. I have come back to that. I have settled my own scores with experiences I had with organized religion, which is to sell fear, guilt, shame, judgment, even though the Bible says that's not our job, that's not our task. Our task is to live and be the best people we can possibly be. And for whatever reason, that gets lost in the messaging. It's probably the messengers, which is why we've had 100 years wars, why we've had, well, look at now. Just delve into the background of most of these religions, and you will find a great deal of child molestation in all of them. It's disgusting. That's it's dark. It's a dark space. It's a low energy, it's a dark energy. It's not about love. It's definitely not coming from a place of love. So I know I went off on a tangent there, and I felt like that one was necessary because unconditional love is when we can understand others the same way we would like to have people understand us. If I want forgiveness, then I've got to be graceful and have compassion and the willingness and ability to extend other people that same thing, compassion, unconditional love. You're a human. You did the best you could with what you had. Now, again, getting back to consequences, do I believe that When someone does something that, community standards agree upon that are unacceptable, should there be or ought there be repercussions? Yes. Yes. When I was growing up, I believe that was the system we had. I even have a master's degree in legal studies. And when I think about the laws and I think about everything that I learned, I'm dumbfounded. I was I was that teenager. I got in a lot of trouble and I got held to standards that I am not seeing people held to today. That excuse of a human body called Trump being able to be a felon and be the president is an absolute embarrassment. We've allowed that. We allowed it. We elect people and we say, okay, it's up to you. I'm back to that. Yes, I came full circle, right on back to that because we do have a lot to take self-responsibility for. I know that there were times when I was like, they've got to do this. Well, how much do you know about that? Well, I really don't know that much about it. It was up to me to teach myself, to become educated about it, to be more informed. I encourage everybody, minimum of three trustworthy sources or more. I like to go with nine. Maybe I'm a little overdoing it, but I want to know for sure from multiple sources that I'm hearing the same and reading the same and seeing the same information. It may be coming through a different voice, in other words, a different perspective of telling you about it, yet it's still the same information. It's extremely important to be informed. And the only thing that I can really say is that I hope you'll take the time, whoever you are, wherever you are, to be curious and to have compassion. Let's bring the light. Let's bring the love. Let's figure out what it is that we all want. What do we want as a society? What do we want as a people? Do we want a community where we're all inclusive, or do we want to be exclusive? You go in your space, I'll go in mine. Don't you come over here. I remember when that started in the 80s. Thank you, Ronald Reagan, even though I would rather have Ronald Reagan today than what we have. Whew, never thought I'd say that. And yet I would. Ronald Reagan would be furious to see what's going on now. What we see and what we hear about people receiving services and things and possibly even money and jobs may not be what it appears. That's all, that's the one thing I'm hoping you'll take away from this. It just might not be what it seems. And can you have compassion for someone in the same way that you would like them to have compassion for you? We're more alike than we're not. Many of us go without things, have to make choices that no human being should have to make. And this is the wealthiest nation in the world. And yet, 98% of the people struggle day to day, don't have enough money for emergencies. So I just, you know, I want to say that I am fighting for all of us. I believe in all of us. I send love to everyone out there, and we can do this. Please, I ask you, join me. Let's do this. Let's have some conversations. I would love for somebody to leave some comments and let's get some conversation started. Let's learn about each other. So till next time, I'm Katana Malinowski, and I wish everyone a wonderful night, a wonderful morning, and a good afternoon.